Alright, welcome to our Basics of Linear Regression StatCrunch edition. And so what I have here is the top 25 ranked teams from the AP poll for 2018. UCF, my alma mater, where I currently adjunct, was ranked 11th at the time of this data. And so you can see there's a lot of stuff in here: total yards, yards per game, passing yards per game, rushing yards per game, total points, and points per game. And so what we'd like to do is we'd like to just really quickly create the linear regression, point out the details of that linear regression, and what we're going to do is we're going to model that with the passing yards per game and the points per game. So I'm going to go to stat. I'm going to go down to regression. I'm going to go over to simple linear. I'm going to click on simple linear. And now what I need to do is I need to have an X variable. And so the X variable that I'm going to use passing yards per game as a predictor. And I'm going to use points per game as a response variable. All right. Now, it's automatically going to perform the intercept is equal to 0 and slope equals to 0 tests. I am not going to do the confidence intervals right now, but we could do that. The prediction value for Y, I can put some optional values in. But again, that's for a later video. What I do want to do for this one is I want to go ahead and do the mean interval and prediction interval around the fitted line plot. And I want to go ahead and do a histogram of the residuals and the QQ plot. And this is going to help us assess, okay? There's a bunch of stuff that I can save in here. I am not going to do those things now. But what I am going to do is I am going to label the X variable, right? Passing yards per game. And then the Y-axis is going to be points per game. And then this is our AP top 25 2018 data. All right. And so now I'm going to click on compute. All right. So you can see there are 4 screens that end up being generated by what I selected. Okay. The dependent variable, passing, independent variable, points, sorry. The dependent variable is points. The predictor variable is passing. Here is my linear regression. The points per game is being predicted from, there's my intercept, plus my slope times the passing yards per game. Now the intercept is here with its standard error. There's the t statistic and the p-value. This means less as a statistical test from most of the work that I have done. The estimate is definitely important. Sometimes it makes sense. Sometimes it does not. Here's the slope. The slope is always something that we try to interpret. That parameter, does the passing yards per game actually add to the model? It turns out that if it is different from 0, and this one is, it's statistically significant, then the passing yards per game does actually add something. Now, I only have one dependent variable, so the analysis of variance is going to give me that same p-value. Now, this is a t-stat. This is a t-test statistic. This is an f-stat, so those are going to be different, but the p-values are the same, okay? Now, if you need your sum of squared for the model or your sum of squared error so that you can get your mean squared for the model and your mean squared error, you can do those things in the analysis of variance table, okay? Now, my r and r squared are here, and my estimate of the error of the standard deviation is going to be right here for the model, okay, for the entire model. Now, if I click on the button over here, you can see here's my line of best fit. This is my confidence interval for the mean. So green is the confidence interval for the mean, and the yellow is the prediction interval. And notice those are nice straight lines. those are coming from the standard error of the deviation. And so you're going to have about 11 points above and 11 points below. So if I go up 11 points from 20, I'm going to have about 31. So this is my upper prediction and my lower prediction level right here. Okay, for these. And that makes me happy. All right. Now, if I click on it again, my histogram of the residuals. Okay, so here's my 0, right? It's unimodal, right? It's mostly sort of symmetric. It doesn't look great, but you got a little bit of a tail here. It's kind of following the normal. Maybe it's not great, but here's my QQ plot, and that actually looks really good. And so I'm good with this being proper, right? So there doesn't seem to be any significant skewness, right? The prediction lines are surrounding my data. All of the data is fairly close to the line of best fit. I don't see any sort of curve in the scatter plot. The histogram is centered at 0. It is unimodal, and the QQ plot looks pretty good. So for all of those things, I would assess. So that is all of the data in StatCrunch for this particular data. I hope that was helpful.